What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going through some more of my Procreate tips for absolute beginners. This is the third video in this series, so if you do take any value from it, please feel free to go back and check out the other videos I've made on this topic. Also, please consider liking and subscribing because it helps the channel to grow and it'll help you keep up to date with all these videos. That being said, let's get into it. Okay, tip number one of this video. We've already discussed in my last videos that if you're working away on a design and you want to undo what you've just done, 2-finger tap will allow you to undo what you've just done. And if you want to redo, you can click 3 fingers and that'll redo your work. But if you want to get rid of all of that, all you have to do is use the 3 fingers, and if you swipe on the screen quickly, it'll completely clear the page. Tip number 2. This is actually a tip that was told to us by one of my subscribers in my last video, so now's a good time to mention. If you guys have any tips that you think I should be featuring in these videos, definitely let us know in the comments down below and I'll definitely get them into my next video. So this tip is that, say you're working away on a design and you don't want this menu to be around the side, if you just click with a 4-finger tap, you can actually hide that menu and you can still work away on your design while that menu is hidden. Then if you want that menu back, just another 4-finger tap will bring the menu back up. Tip number 3. So say for this example, I wanted to do a realism drawing of an image that I'd found online. I could bring up the image, say, of this dog, and I could have it in the top corner and say I was going to draw it, start drawing it down here. But obviously I'm going to have to go through all my palettes and pick out all the different colours that I want to use. Rather than doing that, you can actually go on your palette, go on this little plus icon here to create a new palette, and then you can choose to create that palette from your photos. Then if you find that photo in your photos, and it'll create a palette for you using all the colours from this picture. So then you can start to draw it using just this palette. And it's already like pre-made for you to have all the colours what the Procreate app has picked out from the actual picture. Tip number 4. So imagine I'm working on this piece of script and I've decided I'm not too happy with the space in between the letters. I either want to move them closer together or obviously make them spread out further apart. So I go to try and select a letter, but unfortunately they're too close together and it ends up selecting some of the M beside it as well. So when I go to move it, it obviously brings some of that M with it. So I'll undo that. And the way around this is I would choose the select tool, but rather than choosing the preset rectangle tool, I can go on this freehand tool. Then I can easily draw around it without cutting into the letter beside it. And it'll allow us just to select individual letters. Then once I've completed that circle, I go onto this little cursor and it'll allow us to pick up just that individual letter without bringing like half the letter beside it with it. And then obviously I can go through with each letter and decide how I want the spacing to work. Tip number 5. In this part of the video, I'm going to show you how you can get some free brushes for Procreate. So obviously, when you first get the app, you've got very limited brushes. You can purchase extra ones, but with this way, you can get them for free. So if you come down to the Safari app, you want to type in free Procreate brushes, then come down to this one, which is brushes.work. If you click on there, click on this website, just go through, find out ones you want to try. For this, let's just click on this one, Rainbow Graffiti Brush Pack. Click on download brush, download, then that'll take a few seconds. And if you come on to Procreate, you click on your brushes, you want to click on this little plus, it'll bring this up. You want to go on import, go on your downloads, and then any that you've downloaded will be here. So here's me, which one did we just do? Rainbow Graffiti brushes. So I click on that, that'll import them. And then you'll see here, Rainbow Graffiti brushes, they've all came into my menu here. And then I can obviously manipulate them if I want to, or I can just use them as is. So I choose that brush, choose a colour. Then straight away I've got them brushes ready to go, all for free, and there's no limit on how many you can do. So if I wanted to get rid of them and try a different one, or keep these and try a different one, then you can just play about with it and find some brushes that you like. Tip number 6. Right, so we're back to this piece of script, and say I've designed it because I want it to be for a tattoo, but obviously it's been designed flat and the body isn't flat, so I might want to curve it to go, say, I don't know, around a belly button or curved on somebody's chest or the top of somebody's back, anything like that. But obviously this has been designed flat, so if I want to manipulate it and curve it to fit better on the body, I'd come up here and click this little arrow. You want to come down here to warp, and I put this grid on it, and I can start to warp the design to maybe fit on certain parts of the body better, and I can just play around with that, get it how I want it. And then if I click on this, which says advanced mesh, it brings up more points, so I can start manipulating it from even more points. So I could stretch it out here. I might want to curve it at the bottom. I might want these bits to come further down and then curve it more in the middle. Make it a bit more of a curve like that. But obviously that's just for you guys to play around with your designs and just have a little try of. Okay, for tip number 7, imagine I'm using the selection tool and I've got a section of me piece selected, so I can start add like maybe colouring a section of it, adding some detail or whatever, and I accidentally click off it and I still want to work on this exact section, and obviously it's going to be hard to get me selection right back exactly where it was. But did you know if you click the selection tool and hold it, it'll actually bring up your last selection, so then you can continue working on that exact bit. Tip number 8, this is another way I like to use the selection tool when I'm designing backgrounds. Say you're doing the background of a piece and you want to either fade from a light colour to a dark colour, or maybe one colour to a completely different colour, or a colour to a lighter version of that colour. What you can do is you can put in your main colour, so I'll just colour the whole page with this colour because that's already what I've got selected, but obviously it could be anything. Then I'll use a selection tool to select like roughly half of my page. And then if you come down here to feather, you can, rather than just having a straight line separating what I've selected from what I haven't selected, you can choose to feather it. So I'll just choose a random number, there's 72%. And then if I choose another colour, just this green for example, drop that in and then unselect it, it gives us a nice gradual gradient from the one colour to the other. Obviously you can do this with any colour. You could have maybe green to blue, or you could have like dark blue to light blue, and it just gives you a nice background to start working on. Tip number 9, this is a good one for if you're just starting out on a piece and you want to have your references up at the same time. What a lot of people might do is just bring a picture and import it straight onto the page. But if you want to work from multiple references, or you're still using the internet to find references, if you scroll up from the bottom, you can bring up your menu, you can bring up the internet, and you can actually drag it onto here. And then you've got that, you can make it smaller or larger, you can keep your page here, or you can obviously manipulate it so your page fills the rest of the thing. And then you can obviously, say if you want to work from say Pinterest, you can just search that in there, bring it up, and then you've got Pinterest up here, and you can go through and you can have like multiple images up on the side, and then you can still obviously work away on your design while you're going through the images. Okay, for the final tip of this video, I'm going to show you how you can turn any piece of art into an outline. So say, just for example, just quickly, we've got this piece of text. And I want to obviously turn this into an outline. So what I would do is I would create a new layer, put the new layer under my original layer, and I would fill the new layer with white. So I'm going to just fill the screen with white there. Then I'm going to go back to my text layer, and I want to come up here to the magic wand tool and go on Gaussian blur. I'm going to set that to about roughly 5%. Then I come back up to my layers and I want to merge the text layer with the page work coloured white. Then I'm going to come back up here at my magic wand tool and I want to come down to where it says curves. I'm going to click on curves. I'm going to move this little marker right up at the top. Everything will disappear, and I'm going to click here and it'll bring it up as just an outline. Obviously you might have to play around with these to get it a bit more crisp, but that's the basic idea. And then obviously that's just left us with the outline of the text that I've done. Obviously that could work for if I was wanting to stencil it for a tattoo. It leaves us just with the outline. I could either then go around that, or I could just print it out on stencil paper. It's obviously really handy for stuff like that. That's all for this time, people. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, if you guys have got any tips you think I should be adding to this series, make sure you leave them in the comments down below and I'll get them into the next video. Also, if you have taken any value from this video, would you please consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because it'll help the channel to grow, and obviously it'll help you keep up to date with the rest of the videos that I make. I'm just about to hit 50 subscribers, which is massive. I'm really buzzing with it, and I want to see how far I can push it. So like I said, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.